Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to our first read aloud activity for the Geography of the Americas. We are going to read Chapter 2 today, the United States and Canada. We're going to learn a little bit more about the geography and places and land features of the United States and Canada. Almost all of the United States, Canada, Mexico, and the countries of Central America are on the continent of North America. Imagine you are taking a road trip with your family across part of North America. You are going to travel from Topeka, Kansas, where you live, all the way to Ottawa, the capital of Canada. So on a map, down here at the bottom, we have Topeka, Kansas, and we have Ottawa, the capital of Canada. And the capital, boys and girls, is where the government of an area is located. So it's where decisions are made about how the country will be run. To get to Canada, you will drive east across the United States. On your journey, you will drive through Missouri, which is a state, and you will cross the mighty Mississippi River, the second longest river in the United States. You set off just as the sun is rising in the sky. So there's a couple other things on here, boys and girls. You can see right here is the Mississippi River, right here, okay? And then over here we have the White House. That is located in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. is the capital of our whole United States. And then we have this big statue here. Does anybody know what that's called? That is the Statue of Liberty. She stands in New York City, in the state of New York, and she was a gift to us from France back in the 1700s. Let's turn to page 5. Later in the morning, you reach the Mississippi River. You spot tugboats pushing large barges up and down the wide river. Your mom explains that the barges carry goods, such as grain from the Great Plains, as well as oil and coal from other parts of the United States. The barges stop at ports or places where these valuable things can be transported by road or by sea. On this page, there are several vocabulary words that we want to take a look at. First is tugboats. A tugboat is a small ship that pulls larger boats that have goods on them. The larger boat back here those are called barges. That's a barge. And that is a long, flat-bottom boat that's used to carry very heavy cargo. And an interesting fact is that a barge can carry 1,500 tons of cargo, which is 15 times more than a train car can carry, and 60 times more than a tractor-trailer truck can carry. Another word is goods. Goods are anything that people buy, sell, or trade. So anything we buy at a store is a good. Grain, I think we probably know what grain is, but that's the seeds of food plants like wheat or corn. And we have the Great Plains. The Great Plains is where they grow a lot of grain for our country, and it's a wide, mostly flat area of land. It's in the middle of the United States and part of Canada. Another vocabulary word, boys and girls, is transported. And transported just means that it's moved or carried from one place to another. Let's turn to page 6. There are 50 states, 50 U.S. states. You cannot visit all of them, but your road trip does take you through Indiana and Kentucky and into West Virginia. As you arrive in West Virginia, you see beautiful mist-covered Appalachian Mountains on the horizon. You realize now why West Virginia is called the Mountain State. At almost 5,000 feet, Spruce Knob is the highest mountain in West Virginia. And as well as having mountains, more than half of West Virginia is covered by forests. So here's a vocabulary word, boys and girls: horizon. The horizon is that line in the distance where it looks like the earth or the ocean meets the sky. They're not really meeting, but it looks like that. And the Appalachian Mountains, that's a mountain chain that stretches about 2,000 miles from Canada to all the way down to central Alabama in southern United States. Let's keep going to page 7. You and your family have been driving for more than 3 days. Your journey now takes you north through the states of Ohio and Pennsylvania. By the evening, you have arrived on the shore of an enormous lake called Lake Erie. You hear the waves crashing and you see the sparkling water. On the other side of the lake is Canada. Your parents tell you that early the next day you will be in another country. Lake Erie is one of the Great Lakes. Altogether, there are 5 Great Lakes. They are Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. The Great Lakes are called the Great Lakes because of their size. They are so big that when you stand on one side of a lake, you cannot see the other side. One way I remember the Great Lakes and what they are, I remember homes. And maybe you want to do this too, so you remember the names of them. Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. That's how I remember what the names of the Great Lakes are. Let's keep going to page 8. The next day, you cross the border and arrive in Canada. Canada is the world's 2nd largest country. Only Russia is bigger. You have been reading about Canada on the journey and have discovered that it is divided into areas called provinces and territories. There are 10 provinces, each with its own capital, and 3 territories. Ottawa is the capital of Canada and the place you are traveling to. So let's take a look at some vocabulary words. Border. A border is an imaginary line that marks the edge of a place. So right here, boys and girls, let me change color so you can really see it. Right here would be the border between the United States and Canada. This right here would be a border between the provinces. Provinces is another vocabulary word. Provinces are like states in the United States. So here's a state, and then we have provinces up here in Canada. Let's keep going. You have also discovered that fewer people live in Canada than in the United States. That's because the northern parts of Canada are very cold in the winter. Most Canadians live in the south, near the U.S. border, but some native Canadians, called the Inuit, do live in the far north in the territory of Nunavut in the Canadian Arctic. Native Canadians know how to hunt and fish there. They travel across the snow on snowmobiles or sleds that are pulled by dogs. Let me change my color here. Back to green. So one of our vocabulary words is a place, actually, the Canadian Arctic. And that is the northernmost part of Canada. It's the land that falls within the Arctic Circle, meaning it's near the Arctic Ocean and very, very cold. Like the United States, Canada stretches all the way from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. On the western coast of Canada is the province of British Columbia. The Rocky Mountains run through the eastern part of the province. These are the same Rockies that run through the western United States. Canada has open grasslands or prairies in parts of the South. There, herds of roaming bison and antelope can be found. Vocabulary word coast. It's the part of the land that touches a sea or ocean. And prairies down here are large areas of flat land covered in grasses. So the antelope and the bison, they're all on prairies here, just large open grasslands with very few trees. Moving on. The northwestern part of Canada is divided into 3 territories. These are the Yukon Territory, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. The Yukon Territory is named for the Yukon River, which flows through Canada and Alaska. The Yukon River is the 3rd longest river in North America. In Canada, there are 2 official languages, English and French. That's because people who came from the countries of England and France settled there long ago. Most people who live in the Canadian province of Quebec speak French as their first language. Canada has different money from that of the United States. For example, the British Queen appears on the $20 Canadian note and the $1 coin. On the other side of the $1 coin is an image of a bird called a loon. Canadians call the $1 coin a loonie. After many, many hours of traveling, you finally arrive in Ottawa. It is late into the night as you drive through Parliament Hill, where the Parliament buildings are lit brightly beneath the night sky. The Canadian Parliament is the seat of government in Canada, just as the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. is the home of the United States Congress. It has been an incredible road trip, and you have learned many interesting facts about the United States and Canada. You can't wait for your next adventure. The seat of government, boys and girls, that's one of our vocabulary words. Seat of government, that's where the physical building, the actual place where a government is located. So in Canada, it's the Canadian Parliament. In the United States, it's the U.S. Congress that is housed in that seat of government building. Thank you for listening, boys and girls.